Hello there, beautiful, and welcome back to The Dark Alchemist. I'm super excited because today I want to share the animal guide planner that I created with you. I'm going to introduce this planner to you by sharing a little bit about the backstory and why I created it in the first place, and then we're going to look at the contents and all the goodies that are in there. But I would say before we get started with the backstory, you're probably wondering what this is about in general, and to that all I have to say is roll the clip. Which brings me to the backstory. So I'm going to keep it as brief as possible. I just thought it would be interesting for you to hear this because I've been working on this planner for more than a year at this point. All right. I first received the idea to create a digital planner in October 2022 when I was just randomly sitting on a park bench in Berlin by the river in the city center, and I was meditating there. It was like a golden October day, so really nice, and I got this this idea that I needed to create a planner, and I also heard that I need to use some animals. In my mind at that point, I was thinking that I was using the animals as just like cover art, you know? I just saw a planner that looked really pretty in my mind's eye, and I was like, okay, I'm going to use the animals as cover art. That's how far I thought about it at that point. And soon after, I started to prepare myself for this planner and investigate what I need to put in there and just, sit down and visualize a bit and gather ideas, bring things together. And my spirit team, so my guides, I'm able to communicate with them and I'm able to hear them. And they started to give me more and more information for this planner. And I realized, and what they told me as well, is that the animals are more than just cover arts, and that these were actually animal spirits that wanted to come through to contribute to creating this planner. So very quickly, this planner started to grow, like this whole project started to grow. Because as I started then to channel the animals and the wisdom and everything that they wanted to bring in there, my guides basically were tapping on my shoulder and said, hey, you also need to add something about the 5 elements and we will channel that. So most of the content that you see in this planner is channeled from my spirit guides, except mostly the earth section when it comes to the elements, because they said that I'm more of an expert when it comes to this than they are. So that's the backstory to it. On the second hand, I like digital planning a lot. I like it more than physical planning because it has so much more flexibility. I can quickly move things around, I can change, I can add some notes in there, like a whole notes page if I need to. I can even make some visual notes and have some pictures in there if I need to. And for me, and the way that I plan is really useful for me. That said, I do love to be able to write in a planner. So you're having something like just strictly Notion, for example, on my desktop, and I just type in, it's not the same for me as writing by hand. So the digital planner that I created is a mix of these, where we have the digital element, but because it's for tablets, you can also write. This is a digital hyperlinked PDF planner. Now, what does it mean? It basically means that when you're having a tablet, you can use this planner and write on the planner as you would in a regular physical planner, but hyperlinked means that everything is connected. So basically, when you have your calendar overview and you have all of the days from 1 to 31, and you click on the little square for number 1 because you want to see the first, it takes you straight to the daily page of the first. And much in this way, everything is connected. That's the digital aspect of it. Now, this planner consists of 5 elements, and we're going to look at these in 5 different chapters. The first one is going to be the animal guides. I'm sure you're most curious about that one. The second one is going to be the extra goodies that I will provide along the way for this healing journey. The third one is going to be for the elements, the 5 elements. We're going to talk about those. Number 5 is going to be the regular calendar spreads, because it is a digital planner. It has like your yearlies, your monthlies, your weeklies, your dailies, etc. And then number 5 is going to be a little moon journal. Let's look at that. There are 12 animal guides leading us through this year. Each of these animal guides shares their wisdom about one of their power qualities with us. This power quality is one that they themselves have mastered and perfected. The kind of wisdom that they're sharing with us is connected to the way that we ourselves are using this kind of energy in our life, and it is sometimes talking about you using that energy on a personal level. Sometimes it's speaking a bit more about how this energy plays out on a collective level. So like really, really interesting. I was very surprised actually when I started to channel this information because one thing was very certain. They are very aware of what's happening for us on a collective level. I'm sure you're dying to hear which animals and which qualities came through. I'm looking down because I actually have my iPad, I have my list down here. So for January, we have the hawk with taking risks. For February, we have the striped hyena with purity. For March, we have the egg coming through with security. For April, we have the snake with potential. For May, we have the earthworm and going forward. For June, we have the stag with forgiveness. For July, we have the fox with love. For August, we have the bison, the European bison with willpower. And for September, we have the dolphin with happiness. For October, we have the hummingbird with patience. For November, that's 11. For November, we have the scorpion with closure. And for December, we have the nightingale with compassion. So for each of these months, you will find at the beginning of the month an introduction of the wisdom that the animal guide is sharing with you. I always wrote one page which is a bit more factual about the animal, and then you will find several pages of channeled information. Overall, for these 12 months, I've channeled 64 pages of this animal wisdom. Alongside this wisdom that they share, I have given you a couple of questions to reflect on how this quality is present and playing out in your own life. Because awareness is the first step to perhaps make some necessary changes if there are some to make, but overall also to understand how this energy plays out. Which brings me to chapter number 2. I am supporting your healing journey by giving you 4 additional resources each month that are connected to the power quality. The first one is going to be a pick a card reading where I channel the animal guide straight for you to bring you a bit more personalized messages. The second one is going to be an EFT tapping session where we release stagnant emotions or energy surrounding the power quality. The third one is something that I have not shared at all on my channel yet, and it is Reiki-infused affirmations. So in my traditional line of Reiki healing, which is Usui Reiki, there is a practice to enhance the effect of affirmations. It is a specific way to set up the Reiki healing and the Reiki energy so that as you are listening to these affirmations or speaking these affirmations out loud, whatever is present there will get amplified. And this Reiki healing specifically targets here the area of your head and brain. So whatever you think of in this time will get amplified. To give you a bit of a visual representation of that kind of energy work, because it can be a bit difficult to grasp when it's as abstract as this. Think of an image of a canyon that's slowly forming, because as you are repeating affirmations, what you're doing is you're creating new groves in your canyon, in the canyon of your mind, if you will, where the more that you think a thought, the deeper the canyon gets, or the deeper the water gets. It's the imagery of when a canyon forms is basically you have a solid piece of rock, and over time there is the same area where water slowly trickles, and over time the water erodes the stone and creates this new grove. And the Reiki energy is speeding up this process. So that's why it has a very, very strong effect. The tracks themselves, I will keep them quite short, like 5 minutes, maximum 10, because like I said, you need to be super focused when you are creating with that, when you are listening to that, because whatever you think of in that time will get amplified. So I'm going to keep it short to stay focused. All right. And the fourth and final resource, of course, is going to be a 30-minute Usui Reiki treatment for your entire body, all of your bodies, your energy bodies, etc. Really, really excited for all of this and to create all of this for you. The one for January, all of the resources are going to come out next week if you're watching this as this video actually goes live. And they're linked all throughout the planner. You will find them for each month. All of your resources are going to be there and linked together in a playlist so that you can easily find them as well. All right, which brings me to chapter number 3. In this planner, we are working with the 5 elements to slowly and over time create a routine that will help you feel more balanced in your day-to-day life. The 5 elements that we're looking at are, number 1, ether. And ether is a representation for your spiritual connection. Number 2 is going to be air, which is your mental state, your mind space. Number 3 is going to be the water element, which is your emotional state. Number 4 is going to be fire, which is your passion and drive in life to create and to live. And number 5 is going to be earth, which is your physical body and your feeling of groundedness. For each of these elements, I have also channeled information from my guide team for you. And you will also find a couple of pages of introduction about the element and how this plays out. And then the biggest bulk of this element section are going to be journaling questions for you to reflect on how this energy plays out in your life, how you are interacting with it, how you're using it. And in the section then you will also find a create page, with basically a goal setting page and how you can nourish that kind of element more also in your day-to-day life. And this is also linked then back to your daily page of your regular calendar spreads, where you can find each element linked and you can see and write down what little action you took today to help yourself out. And then you'll also find one first aid kit, which is honestly, I think out of all of this, I have many favorite parts, and this is so simple. You might be surprised that this is actually the favorite thing I created when it comes to this. And it's basically a list for you to collect your supportive tools so that you have them in one access area, one place, for those moments when you need to pick me up. Because listen, when we're moving into a new year, we all create our beautiful, ideal routines about what we're going to do, how we're going to live our life, what we're going to create, and we want to change everything all at once. And this is beautiful, don't get me wrong. I love creating ideal routines and dream about my life in that way. But also in reality, we're all going to have shit days. We're going to have days where we don't feel good, where we don't like what we're doing, or perhaps we have difficulty liking ourselves. And what stands in the way between you creating a life that feels good for you and basically not creating that is not so much that you have 100 successful ideal days in a row. It's going to be, or the determining factor is going to be how well you handle those days that are less than ideal. So the easier it is for you to have some small practices in play that will help you get back to a state where you feel better again. Notice I said better and not necessarily perfect, just already a bit better. That's going to create all of the difference, because it is a bit, what's the word? It is a bit of an illusion to believe that every single day in this next year is going to be working alongside your perfectly planned routine. So we also gotta need to make a plan for those shitty days. And that's basically what this first aid kit is. It's literally what the name is. It's a first aid kit. Anyway, we have those for each of the elements as well. I love that. And it's also linked in the planner. Again, very, very easy to have everything in one go. And one thing that I also love about this being this kind of digital planner is that you can have it on several devices. You can have the same planner linked up with different devices. So, it's very easy if you're on the go and say you only have your phone with you to also link back in that. And because it's a digital planner, for this resource list as well, you can add the links to specific YouTube videos, for example. If you have for your mind state, if you're super anxious and let's say you have a 5-minute breathing routine found on YouTube that you absolutely adore, you can link it in there. It's one click away, and that already will take out so much of the guesswork and make it so much easier to reach for that helpful resource in those moments where you actually need it. And like I said, I've been working on this for a year, but I've been using these kinds of calendar spreads and this structure for a good portion of this year, and it has been very, very useful for me as well. So I'm super excited about that one. And then that's it. We're going to talk, that's it about the elements at least. Let's talk about chapter number 4. Now let's talk about all of the regular calendar spreads that are usually also in a digital planner. Because so far we've only been talking about all of the additional resources. So this digital planner has everything that you can think of. It has your yearly overviews. It has your yearly calendar spread where you can also write in dates. It has yearly overview for key dates that you can collect. There is a section to create and write down your yearly goals for this year, as well as a review section for each year, which brings me to the monthly spreads. So each month you will have your animal wisdom, you will have your little reflect section for the animal wisdom that you have in there, so a couple of journaling questions. You will have your calendar overview, and you will also have your review for each month, which brings me to the weekly spreads. So each week you also have a goal setting page. You have a calendar or like a planner overview that is where you can write things down. You have a schedule from 5 to 10 p.m. or like I have like from 5 to 22 hours because that's how it is in the planner. And then I will also have for each week another review section. A weekly review and a weekly self-check-in, which brings me to the daily. So for the daily, we have basically 2 parts. We have the productivity section, and then we have like well-being, wellness, spiritual section. For each, I forgot to say, for each monthly, weekly, and also daily, you can set an intention and write an intention down for all of these. For the daily, you have your top 3 to-dos today, top 3 to creates today, And underneath it, you have a section with check marks where you can break it down. We have, I think I put for like 3 of each of these bigger goals, you can break them down into 3 smaller steps to write it down. There is a little section for you to put notes there. There is a section for you to write down any specific times, if you have any appointments that day, etc. There is a small area where you can write down what you're grateful for today. And then one thing which I also really love is an area where you can write down one beautiful moment you experienced today. Because, listen, if you want to create a life that feels better, it's very, very important to notice all of the good that's already there. And it's so easy to go through your day-to-day life without paying that much attention or running on autopilot when there are so many beautiful things already happening. And, you know, these beautiful things, they are for free. It's the sound of the rain on my windows, for example, in the beginning of the video. If you heard that, if my camera picked it up because it is raining and I'm at a rooftop, you know, it instantly makes everything cozy. It can be a smile of a stranger when you walk down the street, or just, you know, like a little moment of recognition. Or perhaps you got to play with your pet for a moment today, and there was one moment specifically where they looked into your eyes and you felt their love for you. You know, all of these beautiful, beautiful moments. You can choose one for each day and then write it down. Because what it does is over time, you will, because you start paying attention, over time you notice it more and more, and it changes the way in which you view your everyday life. And that's going to grow. And over time as well, with you paying more and more attention to that, to these smaller moments, your emotional home and your baseline mood basically is going to shift a bit. So if you're doing that regularly over the year, it can be a very, very different experience that you're having at the end of the year, even if technically, physically around you, nothing much changes, but it's like about an inner change and changing your perspective. And then the last section for your daily is that you have a space for each of the elements, and you can write down how you're nourishing yourself today. Now, I will also say you don't need to write, or you don't need to nourish every single element each day. It's just like, make sure that you hit them over the week, like all of them at least once would be good. But this is also for small micro changes. It's not, I gave myself an hour long meditation. It can be like, I give myself a 5-minute meditation, right? So it's about all of these smaller steps that are in there. And sometimes one action fulfills several of these elements. If I take a 5-minute meditation, for example, it could be that you put it underneath your air element because it's good for your mental space, but it can also serve to nourish your spiritual connection, to check in with your higher self or with your inner guide, you know? So I have nothing more to say about that. That is what it is. Which brings me to the last chapter, chapter 5. So in this planner, there is a section for your moon journal. I have written down the full moon and the new moon dates and given you space to journal basically on each of these dates, because I find it very, very useful to have one specific date where you are seeding new intentions and thinking about the cyclical nature of our life. And the full moon date is going to be a celebration and a gratitude practice basically for everything that has happened and that has culminated this month, as well as releasing this old cycle to make space for the new. And yeah, working in this and checking back in with the cyclical nature of how everything is happening in our lives and in ourselves, I think in our fast-paced world is really, really nice to have that in there. And you'll also find these linked, of course, throughout the planner and your monthly calendar spread. It's also linked there. You can see the dates there. And then at the bottom, you can go directly to the full moon date, to the new moon date, and you get there as well from your daily spread. If that day is, for example, the day of the full moon, you find a link there as well. And that, my lovelies, is and are the contents of this digital planner. I'm sure by now you can tell that this took me about a year to create. It has been a very big project. I'm really, really excited that it's finished and I can create something new, because I already have the next big thing on the horizon for myself that I want to create this year. And I'm excited to see how you're getting on with it and how much you're going to enjoy it and how you like it. And I'm excited to go on this journey with you for the next 12 months. I'm excited to create all of the content surrounding it. And I'm sure I'm also going to be able to find some more content to create surrounding these topics, because I'm sure as we are progressing throughout this year, certain things are going to come up that right now none of us know of yet. So I'm really excited about this. The last thing I want to say is that right now, at this moment of me launching it, I have released a planner for the year of 2024. But the contents of this planner themselves are timeless, and I'm in the process of also creating a timeless planner where you can fill in the dates and all of the calendar spreads, etc., so that you can make it fit whenever you would like to. If that's out already, you will find it popping up somewhere here. If nothing's popping up and I'm just randomly pointing at this moment, it's going to come out later this year. I don't have a release date for that yet. I don't know how the response to any of this, what I just created and shared with you, is yet. So I don't know. It might come a bit later. It might come a bit sooner. You will see. Anyway, like I said, I'm excited. I'm also excited to hear your thoughts. So let me know how this planner resonates with you, how you're feeling about that, etc. And that's all from me for today. Have a beautiful rest of your week and have a wonderful holiday time as well. Bye.